How do you provision a boat for 3 months worth of food? Hi, my name's Nick. I live on a 102-year-old wooden yacht named Argonaut 2, and today we're going to walk through how I provision a boat for an entire summer worth of cruising. I just made a big run to Fred Meyer, Costco, and Trader Joe's. Let me show you what I have. Here we have vegetables, cheeses, heavy cream, seltzers, olive oil, crackers, peanut butter, salted meats, tomatoes, breads, chips, lots of chicken, yogurts. That's dessert for a whole summer or maybe a few weeks. Full bag of snacks. Almond milk is a great substitute for regular milk and it can be stored at room temperature. What's the overall strategy for provisioning? Typically, if it's something that can last forever, I'll buy the entire summer's worth. First thing I'm going to do is organize everything by what needs to be frozen, refrigerated, and then dry storage. I buy a lot of stuff that you'd be surprised that can be stored in dry storage. But obviously I'll prioritize it in refrigeration if I have the space. Some common things that don't really need refrigeration are things like salted meats like salamis, cheeses, eggs, once you have them at room temperature, are fine for weeks. What I do is flip the cartons every couple weeks or so just so that they don't dry out too much. It's great to buy unripened avocados, things like that. And then for salads, feta cheese that's in water, anything that's pickled can last for, months or longer. So that's all good stuff to have aboard. I can refresh my produce here and there at different stores that I encounter on the way up. One thing I do to help conserve space and then also remove how much trash and recycling I'll be bringing off the boat, especially because many places up in Canada, they actually don't do recycling and they burn their trash. I will take anything that's in a box out of a box and do my recycling run here. And that gives me extra storage space for things like crackers and cereals, etc. And then reduces how much waste I'm going to be taking up into Canada. I particularly like these 6 packs of chicken because you can cut them up into individual squares and freeze them, and they stack nicely in the freezer. Same thing with cured meats. They will be refrigerated but don't necessarily need to be. All right, and here we have 4 pounds of chicken, 6 pounds of beef, frozen dumplings, and enough space for ice cubes. For next weekend, I have 20 sausages, 10 heads of lettuce, 12 pounds of cheese, yogurts, which last a really long time, big thing of bok choy for stir fries. I have 1.5 gallons of whipping cream. Here is 3 pounds of butter, 2 pounds of salamis, prosciutto, another 5 pounds of mozzarella. This drawer is dedicated just to cheeses. I have a couple things of Parmesan, some Beecher's Flagship, 4 pounds of Tillamook. Here's a big block of Gouda cheese. This was a French goat cheese that the free samples guy at Costco convinced me to buy, and it is damn delicious. Celery, carrots, here I have granolas, nuts, cereal, crackers, more crackers, which are the easiest things to pull out when you're visiting other boats. So what kind of dry goods last a long time? It doesn't necessarily get moldy. Tortillas are one of the best breads to carry on board because they store really well, they're super flat, and they don't really mold. Another food that lasts seemingly forever are Thomas's English muffins without going bad. A little bit of butter and toast in the air fryer, and it'll come right back to life. I don't know how Thomas does it. It's probably full of preservatives, but preservatives are what you go for when you're on a boat for 3 months. Tuna fish, salmon, canned goods are also things that last forever. My experience last year actually is enough people who I invite on board curious about the boat or want to come for a tour. A lot of times they reciprocate by giving me a bunch of salmon that they caught. I was eating salmon, prawns, black cod all summer long, so honestly, protein, particularly seafood, is not a hard thing to get when you're out in the middle of nowhere. There's plenty to be caught, and while I don't fish myself, I'm always happy to cook up a meal for somebody who offers me a fillet. So if you see me out there, I'd love to show you the boat, have you over for a drink, and we can enjoy some of your fish. All right, so all in, we're just over $1,300 worth of groceries. That sounds like a lot, but if you divide it by 3 months worth of provisioning, and then different friends and family that I plan to have aboard over the course of time. The rest of my fresh produce, etc., I'll buy just before the start of my trip and then resupply as I go north. And there you have it. That should last me most of my summer. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time.